What's up, YouTube? It's Vortex Steve. Today we are going to be working on something a little different. No Mustang today. We are actually going to be working on the Ranger that Aaron and I picked up a few weeks ago. Going to be doing some work to the engine. It's more inspection, teardown today. Already done some work on it as far as inspecting it and seeing some of the things that are messed up on it. So we will do a little more inspecting today, see what other parts we need to get on order, and hopefully within a couple weeks we'll be able to get this running and be back in business. So this is definitely different than what we are normally working on. This is actually a 3-liter V6. The plan is to get this Ranger running again under its own power with this engine. And then at the end of next year, probably the end of the 2025 racing season, I think we're going to go ahead and pull this engine out and most likely put either a 5-liter Coyote in it or possibly, which this would be probably almost easier, a 7.3 Godzilla. So we'll make that determination next year as far as what makes more sense to put in. If I can find a core of a 5-liter or a core for a 7.3, we'll see what makes more sense. 7.3 might only be easier just because it's a narrower engine. It's not a dual overhead cam engine, but the aftermarket is not quite as available for the 7.3, so that's going to be the one holdback, especially since we want to race this. We know it's been done. That Cletus McFarlane had a 7.3 in his Fox body for a while, and they did run some pretty good numbers with that, but they did see a pretty big improvement when they went to the 5-liter. So we'll see what makes sense for our build once we get there. So to give you a little history on this engine, I think you can already tell what's wrong with it, mainly right there. So the story we got from the previous owner was that this was an oil leak was ignored, and basically what happened was it spun a bearing. He put a new crank in it with new bearings and everything. I've already checked that out. That all looks good. This is the new crank. That does obviously not look good. We'll be able to clean that up. I think we'll be able to be fine with that. I'm not too worried about a little bit of surface rust like that, or even on the counterbalances and everything. The biggest concern I actually have on this is number 6 cylinder. That rod's a little dark because that one got a little hot. One's a little dark because it got a little bit hot, but I think we'll be okay. I'm not too worried about it. It's not like this little 3-liter makes any power anyways, so I'm not worried about hurting it because we're running it hard or anything like that. Our main goal today is actually going to be to take the valve covers off, intake off, take a look at the lifters. If the lifters and everything look good, I may or may not pull the cam. We'll see about that once we get to that point. But the lifters are actually going to be our main priority to check on today. If we look at those and they all look good, I think we're going to be okay, and we'll be able to run this engine the way it is. One thing that makes this engine a little bit unique is, or at least unique for me, is I haven't worked on one of these before. This is one of the engines that we don't really see a lot of problems with. It was always very durable, and it's probably because it didn't make a lot of power. So let's get started on this. We'll get started taking the spark plug wires off of here. I'm going to leave them on the coil. Should be fine with that. And then we'll take this valve cover off, and then we'll move over to the other valve cover, and we'll start taking the intake off after that. See what we got. Well, they are on there. I'm not worried about damaging these because I do have new ones already, so there we go. Just that one wanted to fight me. All right, so that's bank one valve cover off. I'm seeing some, I don't know what that is. I guess maybe it's just debris. This was sitting in a barn for a little while. Last I could tell, this truck was registered in 2019. That was the last year on the sticker. And as far as I could tell, it's been sitting ever since. I think he took the engine out with the intent to fix it up and just never got there. Let's go ahead and get this other side off. This side already does not look much different than the other side, which is good. Looks all clean and organized. I don't see any big debris in there. I think we're going to try to cheat this a little bit and leave that cam sensor in there. Intake has a pretty good cutout around it, so I think we'll be able to leave it in there. We might need to take it out when we actually take the camshaft out, if we take the camshaft out. But mainly I think we'll be able to get everything we need to out of the way without taking that out. All right, first step is we're going to take that water neck out of the way for the thermostat housing. Mainly because I can't get to that one bolt. And there's some rust in there. We might be putting a thermostat in this too. It's obvious this thermostat has been sitting around for a while. So we will at least be putting one of these in when we put this back together. All right, so it looks like all we have are 8 Torx head bolts. These are T50s. I'm gonna go around with the ratchet, break them free, and then we'll take the impact to them. And they are not that tight, which is nice. It is nice that you can actually do this with the fuel rails and fuel injectors still in there as well. All these parts like the intake, and if I end up taking anything else big off, I'll end up taking all that to work. We'll run it through the parts washer. All right, so we'll find a point to pry. This seems like the best one, and I wonder if that was part of our oil leak, because that I was expecting that to kind of be glued in. So let's take that out. All right, it looks like maybe we have to take the, we have to go ahead and take the push rods and stuff out. They are not clearing them, but it doesn't look like it's encapsulated, so something is still holding it in place. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go through, knock these rockers off, and then we'll put them in the tray. Once we're done with that, then we'll be able to pull the push rods and everything out. Hopefully at that point they will let us take that off. We are going to keep these in order, even though these ones should not matter, but we're going to keep them in order. We'll do the same thing with the push rods. Meant to do that. Unfortunately, my little tray is not designed for this style of rocker, so they weren't going to stay on there very well. All right, we should be good to take that off of there now, so let's give that a shot. Boom. There's the one that fell all the way in there. All right, I'm going to take this cam spider out of here. I am already seeing a little bit of metal debris on the spider itself. The little cam hold down, or lifter hold down. I don't think it's going to be anything that's going to be a big problem, because I'm sure that's mostly what was already taken out of this. All right, so you can see on there is a little bit of metal deposits. There were some bearings on the old crank that were torn up, obviously, as I showed you in the beginning of the video. The good sign is I'm not seeing anything torn up on these. Like, wear on the cam actually looks pretty good. That's actually good. I'm not seeing a lot of wear. I think we might be in the position where we can probably get away with not taking the cam out. I will probably run this for a very short period of time and then change the oil again once it is to the point where it's running. So, as you can see down there, not really seeing a lot of abnormal wear on those cams. This engine has a little over 100, well, under 100,000 miles actually. All right, so overall, I'm going to give this engine a fairly decent good bill of health. The bottom end, I still need to go through and retorque everything, since I did have the all the cam caps off and everything. This will obviously get brand new gaskets all the way around. We'll see what we can do there. I'm pretty sure that the leak that must have taken this engine out might have been from the back of that intake, with how much residue's up there. The transmission did have some residue up there too, so we'll have to take a look at that. Yeah, we'll get some new gaskets and stuff in this. Get everything cleaned back up. I got some parts that I got to get ordered, and we'll see what comes of that. So that's going to do it for this video. Please like and subscribe. Definitely helping the channel. We just hit 500 subscribers, and that is awesome. Also, quick little update. Next week, the 8th and 9th of November, we are going to be down in Kentucky for the arm drop that got postponed due to rain last couple months ago. We are not taking the 89 Mustang. We did have a problem. We found that one of our cylinder heads actually has a crack in it. It's leaking both into cylinders 6 and 7, so that cylinder head is done for. it's also leaking externally. There's some hairline cracks in that cylinder head that makes it so we're not going to be able to run that. We might see if we can't find somebody to actually potentially repair that cylinder head so that maybe we can enjoy it a little bit next year. But if anybody out there has a 351 Windsor block or roller, we might be interested, because we're thinking about getting an actual roller block. That's a flat tappet, and it's too old supposedly to modify to be a roller. So if anybody has one out there, hit us up. We'll definitely look into what we can find out there to buy. And then we're going to be looking for cylinder heads. Obviously, these kind of cheap ones that we have, we're not really wanting to run with anymore since they're already damaged. So we're going to see what we can do. This might be kind of a second iteration of the build already, so we might actually jump into doing the whole tubular cross member up front, long tubes, the whole 9 yards, to make it a good race car, because that's what it's going to be. But if anybody has anything out there that they want to help us out and sell us some parts, hit up either me or Whippa Weekly, either here or on Facebook or whatever. So let us all know. But even tips, because they're all older engines, we don't work on them a lot. Obviously, I spend most of my time working on the newer stuff, like the 5-liter and the 6.7 Power Strokes and stuff like that. But hit us up. And thanks again for watching, and thanks again for making 500 subscribers a reality. Thank you.